We live in a world where fear often calls the shots. It traps us, holds us back from taking action, and convinces us we're incapable of overcoming the challenges before us. But what if I told you that you weren't created to live this way? That within you is a strength greater than any obstacle you might face. This strength comes from God, who has given us a spirit of power, love, and self-discipline. When you understand this truth, everything changes. This isn't about avoiding challenges or pretending fear doesn't exist. After all, we all feel vulnerable at times. The difference lies in how we choose to respond. While fear paralyzes, the Spirit of God propels us to act with courage and confidence. It's like standing in total darkness and suddenly turning on a light. You see the path, discover possibilities, and tap into a strength you didn't even know you had. Many people spend their lives trying to handle fear and weakness on their own, but the truth is that path rarely leads to victory. We need something greater, and that's exactly what God offers. He hasn't called us to a life of timidity, but to live boldly, driven by a love that transforms and a wisdom that guides every step. In this message, we'll dive deep into how to overcome fear with God's strength. You'll learn how to use the tools He has given you, the power to overcome challenges, the love to heal wounds, and the self-discipline to remain calm even in life's storms. Get ready to uncover truths that can change your life and embark on a journey toward a fuller life, filled with courage and purpose. Because you were created to overcome, and God has already equipped you with everything you need to do so. Fear, a short word, but one that carries an immense weight in many people's lives. It paralyzes, whispering in our ears that we're not capable, that we should quit before we even start. However, God has not given us a spirit of fear. This powerful truth has the potential to transform lives when it's truly understood and embraced. When Paul wrote to Timothy saying, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-discipline," 2 Timothy 1:7, he was speaking directly to those who feel small in the face of challenges. That spirit of fear he mentioned is that inner voice that says you're not enough. But God empowers us to confront that voice with courage, because when we walk in faith, fear loses its grip on us. It's natural to feel fear. We're human after all, but it's essential to understand that fear doesn't have to be our master. Challenges and trials are opportunities to trust God and experience His strengthening presence. Think of David, a young shepherd standing before Goliath. By human standards, he had every reason to back down, but he chose to believe that God was greater than the giant before him. We can make the same choice, not based on our own strength, but on the assurance that the Lord is with us. A practical way to apply this principle is by replacing thoughts of fear with declarations of faith. When a challenge arises, say, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Philippians 4:13. Make this part of your routine, like a mantra of faith. This isn't just positivity, it's grounding your life in God's word. Insecurity often blinds us to the good things God has prepared for us. Sometimes it's an opportunity that seems too big or a challenge that feels too small to matter. But trusting God means taking the first step, even when we don't know the entire path. A powerful example is Peter walking on water. He started strong with his eyes fixed on Jesus. But when he focused on the wind and waves, fear caused him to sink.
This teaches us that to overcome fear, we must fix our eyes on God, not on our circumstances. Another way to combat fear is through gratitude. Yes, gratitude is a powerful weapon against insecurity. Start by thanking God for the blessings and gifts you've already received. This helps you remember that He is faithful and always present, even in the hardest times. A gratitude journal can be an excellent tool. Write down 3 things you're thankful for every day, and watch how your heart fills with hope and courage. It's also important to know that God doesn't demand unattainable perfection from us. He knows our limitations and patiently guides us. Every challenge we face has a purpose, even when we can't see it at the moment. Life's deserts teach us to depend on Him, and trials strengthen us to become better servants and followers of Jesus. So, overcoming fear doesn't mean never feeling it. It means not letting it dictate our choices. Through faith, we can turn moments of weakness into opportunities to experience God's power. It's not about avoiding challenges, but about facing them with the certainty that victory comes from the Lord. And this leads us to an even greater force, love, which has the power to transform our lives and the lives of those around us. There's something deeply revolutionary about love. Love is not just a fleeting feeling or a simple emotion. It's a force that changes realities, heals wounds, and rebuilds lives. When Paul reminds us that God has given us a spirit of love, he's inviting us to experience something that words can hardly describe. This love, which comes directly from God, is both a gift and a responsibility. The kind of love that transforms lives begins with our relationship with God. When we allow His love to surround us, it changes not only how we see ourselves, but also how we see others. Think of a dirty window. Until it's cleaned, everything viewed through it appears distorted. God's love acts as a cleansing agent, purifying our perspective and helping us see beauty where there was once confusion. But this love isn't meant to be kept to ourselves. Jesus challenged us to love our neighbors as ourselves, and it's in this command that love becomes truly transformative. Loving others is an act of courage, especially in a world that often celebrates selfishness and indifference. Yet, when we choose to obey this call, we create space for good things to happen, both in our lives and in the lives of those touched by this love. Think of someone you know, perhaps a neighbor or co-worker who faces daily challenges and struggles. A word of encouragement, a kind gesture, or even a simple smile can be the first step in transforming that person's life. Small acts of love carry extraordinary power. A powerful example is the story of the Good Samaritan, who, moved by compassion, cared for a stranger wounded on the side of the road. This act of love is the true essence of serving God. However, it's important to remember that loving isn't always easy. Extending grace to those who've hurt us or being generous when we feel exhausted can be challenging. But it's in these moments that the spirit of love God has given us empowers us. It helps us rise above our human limitations and act with the heart of Christ. As Paul wrote to the Corinthians, "Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud." 2 Corinthians 13:4. This kind of love requires dedication and faith. Moreover, love has a healing impact. Many people carry emotional wounds so deep they seem impossible to heal. Yet when touched by genuine love, they find a path to restoration. A great example is how relationships can be mended when we choose to forgive. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or minimizing what happened. It's an act of faith that frees both the other person and ourselves to experience God's peace. Another essential aspect of transformative love is how it helps us grow. Love doesn't leave us stagnant. It challenges us to be better. Think of how a mother teaches her child, with patience, encouragement, and sometimes correction. God works with us in the same way, using His love to shape and prepare us for the greater purposes He has for our lives. If you want to experience and share this kind of love, start with small steps. Take time to reflect on what it means to follow Jesus in your daily life. Read and meditate on passages like 1 Corinthians 13 or 1 John 4:7-12. Practice simple acts of kindness each day, whether in your family, at work, or in your community. And remember, love is like a seed. The more we plant it, the more fruit we will harvest. Finding balance in a fast-paced world. In a world that seems to be moving at lightning speed, finding balance has become one of the greatest challenges of modern life. Every day, we're bombarded with news, obligations, and worries, often making us feel like we're walking a tightrope. In this context, maintaining spiritual and emotional balance is essential for living fully and aligning ourselves with God's purposes. Paul reminds us in his letter to Timothy that God has given us a spirit of balance. This spirit combines self-control, wisdom, and the peace that only the Lord can provide. But how can we cultivate this balance amid daily pressures? The answer lies in prioritizing our connection with God and taking care of our mental and emotional health. First, it's crucial to set aside quality time to be in God's presence. Prayer and reading His Word are like refueling for our souls. Just as a car can't run without fuel, we can't function fully without drawing strength from God. Start your day with passages like Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. This verse is an invitation to reflection and peace amid chaos. Additionally, simple practices like creating a gratitude routine can bring emotional clarity. Take a few minutes each day to list 3 things you're grateful for. Doing this trains your mind to focus on God's blessings and gifts rather than getting lost in worries. A gratitude journal can be a practical tool for this habit, and over time, you'll notice how it transforms your perspective. At the heart of love and balance lies our connection to God. His love inspires us to grow, forgive, and heal, while His spirit of balance helps us navigate life's complexities with peace and wisdom. Together, they empower us to live a life of purpose, courage, and abundant grace. Another crucial aspect of balance, learning to say no. Even Jesus knew when to withdraw to pray and rest, Luke 5:16. Often we overload ourselves with commitments that aren't essential, leading to burnout. The self-control God gives us includes the ability to discern what truly matters and to prioritize our spiritual and emotional health. You can also find balance by recognizing your limits and seeking support. The Christian life is a journey that wasn't meant to be walked alone. Find a faith community where you can share your challenges and struggles. As Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Surrounding yourself with people who also seek to walk in faith strengthens your journey. Another important point is not to ignore negative emotions like anxiety or sadness. These are not signs of weakness, but signals that something needs attention. God calls us to cast all our cares on Him because He cares for us. 1 Peter 5:7. This can be done through prayer, but it may also involve seeking professional help, such as a Christian counselor or therapist when needed. Remember, taking care of your mind is also a way to serve God with your body, which is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Finally, spiritual and emotional balance prepares us to face challenges with resilience. It doesn't mean a life free of problems, but the ability to confront them with wisdom and patience. When we seek this harmony, we experience the peace that surpasses all understanding, as promised in Philippians 4:7. Through this, we find strength in God to keep moving forward, ready to embrace the power and love He offers. Power, a force for transformation. The word power carries so many connotations in society that we often forget what it truly means in the context of faith. The power that comes from God isn't about domination, but transformation. Transforming the world around us, and above all, transforming our own lives. When Paul says that God has given us a spirit of power, he's referring to a strength that transcends human understanding, a supernatural ability that enables us to accomplish the impossible. The difference between human power and divine power is significant. While human power often relies on physical strength, social influence, or material resources, God's power is spiritual and eternal. It is like an endless source that never runs dry, even in the face of the greatest challenges and trials. This power manifests tangibly in our lives when we choose to walk by faith and trust fully in God's plan for us. A powerful example of this divine strength is seen in the life of Moses. Standing before the Red Sea with the Egyptian army in pursuit, he could have given in to despair. Instead, he chose to trust God, who gave him the power to lead the Israelites through the sea on dry ground. That same power that worked in Moses' life is available to us today when we connect with the Holy Spirit. But how do we access this power in practice? First, it's essential to recognize our total dependence on God. Often, we try to handle everything on our own, but the truth is, human strength has its limits. In contrast, the strength that comes from God is limitless. Start your day with a heartfelt prayer, surrendering your concerns to Him, and asking for His guidance. Scriptures like Isaiah 40:29-31 remind us that the Lord gives strength to the weary and renews the energy of those who trust in Him. Another way to experience God's power is through His Word. The Bible is not just a book. It is a living and effective tool. Read and meditate on passages like Ephesians 3:20, which assures us that God can do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to His power at work within us. Let these truths penetrate your heart and renew your mind. It's also important to remember that God's power is perfected in our weakness. As Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." We don't need to be perfect or have everything under control to experience divine strength. On the contrary, it is in the moments when we acknowledge our limitations and surrender to God that He works most powerfully in us. The power God gives also equips us to accomplish tasks that seem impossible. Think about the challenges you're currently facing, perhaps a health issue, financial difficulties, or a strained relationship. No matter the situation, God's power can transform what looks like a dead end into a pathway to victory. But this requires full trust in Him and a willingness to obey His voice. Furthermore, God's power drives us to serve. This spirit of power isn't meant to be stored or used only for personal benefit. It calls us to be a light in the world, helping others and spreading the good news of the gospel. When we serve others with the love and strength we've received from God, we not only impact lives, but also draw closer to our Creator. The spirit of power that God has given us is neither abstract nor distant. It is real, tangible, and transformative. And as we learn to walk in this divine strength, we discover that it is deeply intertwined with the love that transforms us and the balance that sustains our journey. Life is a journey full of challenges. There are moments when we feel cornered, as if every door is closed and every solution is out of reach. Yet, God equips us with 3 essential elements to face any adversity: faith, love, and wisdom. These divine gifts are not just tools. They are powerful weapons that help us navigate life's trials with courage and hope. Faith is the foundation. Without it, it's impossible to please God, as Hebrews 11:6 reminds us. But what does it mean to live by faith? It means trusting in God, even when circumstances seem impossible. Think of Joshua and the walls of Jericho. From a human perspective, marching around walls and blowing trumpets is not a military strategy. But Joshua chose to obey God's instruction, and God performed the impossible. Like Joshua, we are called to act in faith, believing that God can transform any situation. Love is the second essential element. It is not just a feeling, but an active force that enables us to overcome divisions, heal wounds, and spread God's light in a world often immersed in darkness. In Romans 12:21, we are exhorted not to be overcome by evil, but to overcome evil with good. This is love in action. Instead of returning offenses, choose kindness. Instead of holding grudges, choose forgiveness. These acts of love not only transform others, but also transform us, bringing peace and balance to our journey. Wisdom, in turn, is the ability to apply God's knowledge in our daily decisions. James 1:5 encourages us to ask God for wisdom, which He gives generously. When we face challenges, our first reaction is often to act impulsively or be consumed by anxiety. However, divine wisdom teaches us to wait on the Lord, seek His guidance, and act prudently. An example of this is Solomon, who, when he became king, asked God for wisdom to lead his people. His humility in recognizing the need for divine direction is a model for us all. In moments of challenge, the combination of faith, love, and wisdom becomes an unshakable foundation. For instance, imagine you're facing financial difficulties. Faith will lead you to trust that God will supply all your needs. Love will help you remain generous, even in times of scarcity, knowing it is more blessed to give than to receive. And wisdom will guide you to manage your resources effectively, seek creative solutions, and honor God in every decision. Another example might be a family conflict. Faith sustains you, helping you believe that reconciliation is possible, even when it feels distant. Love guides you to forgive and seek constructive dialogue, And wisdom teaches you to choose the right words, avoid impulsive actions, and build bridges instead of walls. It's also important to remember that challenges are opportunities for growth. In Romans 5:3-5, we learn that tribulations produce perseverance, character, and hope. Every obstacle we face is a chance to become stronger, more mature, and more reliant on God. By applying faith, love, and wisdom to our challenges, we prepare ourselves for greater victories and a deeper relationship with the Lord. Finally, don't underestimate the impact your journey can have on others. When you face challenges with courage, confidence, and a heart full of love, you inspire those around you to do the same. You become a living witness to God's transformative power, showing that with Him, all things are possible. And so, we move forward, strengthened by the Spirit God has given us, ready to face each day with hope and determination.